Hey y'all, Conservative Brother Daily here. I'm bringing you a Conservative Brother Daily reaction. I'm actually going to be reacting grassroots ghetto style. I'm kind of tired from work, so I don't have time to set up my whole live stream screen share. So I'm actually going to just point at my tablet and watch the whole thing live, giving live commentary. It's actually about to start in a few minutes, and just my sort of raw in the moment thoughts. So this is the Ron DeSantis Newsom debate, and here we go.
As well. What can we expect tonight? Well, you can expect DeSantis to go after Gavin Newsom on his handling of COVID-19 mandates, lockdowns, crime and homelessness, the cost of living in California, the mass exodus of people leaving California. You can expect Gavin Newsom to go after DeSantis on his positions on abortion, healthcare, social issues, transporting migrants around the country. And we talk about how these guys are each other. You just played the soundbite. Gavin Newsom has called Ron DeSantis a, quote, small, pathetic man, said his presidential campaign is, quote, belly flopping against Donald Trump. Ron DeSantis has countered, saying that Gavin Newsom's hair gel is interfering with his brain function and that he's responsible for all the people leaving the state of California and going to states, red states like Texas and his state of Florida. We went into the debate hall earlier tonight. It's a pretty cool setup. Both candidates are going to be standing about 6 to 8 feet apart. They're only going to be in there with Hannity. There's no crowd. There's not going to be any applause or cheering, anything like that. And each candidate's, or not candidate, each person's side, each governor's side is kind of customized for their state. So Gavin Newsom's side has a California flag behind it with the California bear and a picture of the LA skyline with the Hollywood sign. Ron DeSantis' side has a picture of a Florida city with the seal of Florida as well. So, Jesse, the bottom line is these guys have been itching to get at each other for the past months now. They've been going at it online, on TV, and tonight they get a chance to put up or shut up. They're going to be face-to-face, eye-to-eye, and it's a national audience to really draw a contrast between conservatism, liberalism, with two of America's top governors. Send it back to you. Thanks, Bill. Let's now bring in Teslyn Figaro. She's a political analyst and former advisor for Bernie Sanders. Okay, you're a Democrat. You're watching tonight's debate. What are you looking for?
She was running her mouth on the Breakfast Club.
First of all, I am just excited to see this. I think it should be more of this. There should be first the opportunity for people to debate their ideas. And I do agree with you when I say that both of them are benefiting from this. DeSantis gets an opportunity to sell himself, to not have to share time with Chris Christie or Nikki Haley or any of the other candidates, to show that he can stand out, since
Chick
apparently
was just dogging out Larry Elder. He put her to shame.
A VP position, or trying out possibly to be the Democrat nominee in either 2024 or 2028. And to be honest with you, 10 points already just for coming to Fox News. And I've been coming to Fox News for about 7 years, and people have criticized me each and every time. And I always tell my Democrats and independents friends that I go where you will never go. So just for the simple fact that he's willing to come to Fox and hash it out with Sean Hannity and you know, take both of them at the same time,
that's fair.
I commend that.
Well, Teslyn, if he has a good night, are you going to say, you know what, get Joe out of here, we're going with Gavin?
Well, I've been saying that. I don't need him to have a good night. I could say it last night or last week or 6 months ago. You know, I think Democrats need a better candidate. But they have decided that Biden is their candidate. So they will have to select him in order for him to have an opportunity. So let him do a good job and put the pressure on, and we'll see what Democrats do. We'll see how it lands.
We'll see what happens. Teslyn, thank you.
Absolutely.
Her now anchor and executive editor of the
She's a little bit base,
Martha
but she was
McCall.
still
All right, so you heard Teslyn.
pretty nasty to Larry
She's
Elder, in
open.
my opinion.
She's definitely looking for some action out of Gavin. What does Gavin need to do tonight, and what does Ron need to do?
You know, I'm so fascinated listening to all of this, Jesse, because you look around at what's happened this week. You've got Jamie Dimon saying, hey, I think Democrats should take a look at Nikki Haley. You have all of these sort of barriers breaking down. You've got the Washington Post saying, hey, watch Fox tonight. Take a look at what's going on. There's a hunger in the country for an alternative to Trump and Biden. We know that based on the numbers, 60 to 70% want to have other choices.
Trump over Biden,
they only
but
have Trump and Biden. We know what those numbers look like at this point, and certainly Trump is in great shape when it comes to the Republican nomination process. There's no doubt about it. This is a big opportunity tonight for Ron DeSantis. He's 6 weeks away from Iowa. They're both struggling for second place right now. Nikki Haley's had a huge week. Ron DeSantis is good at the head-to-head when he's going against someone with a different ideology. So I think this is going to be a very interesting night for him. Newsom, you know, their goal for both of them, two governors actually have a lot in common in a lot of ways and a lot different in terms of their philosophy about government, small government, big government. But it's going to be very interesting to see them duke it out. And I think they're going to have people looking at it saying, why don't I have a choice between these two? Why don't we have more options? So it's going to be a big night, and we're going to watch them duke it out coming up soon.
Well, can't, if you're DeSantis, just say your state's a mess? Everyone's leaving. There's homeless everywhere. You had to clean it up for the Chinese. Can't you just point to his state and say, what are you doing?
Welcome to Hannity, and tonight we are broadcasting live just north of Atlanta, Georgia, in Alpharetta, Georgia, where in just a moment we're going to hear from the Republican governor of Florida, the Democratic governor of the great state of California, for what is the first ever red state, blue state debate right here on the Fox News channel. Now, we will do our best to give equal time to each governor. We will limit answers to 60 seconds per question. We'll be a little flexible as needed. Let the debate breathe as needed, along with a 30-second time for rebuttal. Let me start by introducing both Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, California Governor Gavin Newsom. Governors, thank you both for being here.
Smiles
really
in the world.
appreciate it.
Great to be
with you. I know both of you personally. I've known you both for a long time. I know you're very busy. I also know this. I know that both of you love your individual states. Yeah. I know you both have a deep and abiding love for our country, as I do.
Right there.
But where we are in the country, we've never kind of been this divided in a long time. There are clear and deep and profound differences in your approach to governance.
Do we need a bigger stage?
Before we begin, one quick
This
note
isn't
to all of
Fox
you that are
NFL
watching at home.
Sunday.
Okay, I'm now the longest running primetime cable host in the history of cable news. I'm now, and I feel blessed, in my 28th year at Fox. It's kind of widely known that I am a conservative. However, tonight I will be moderating this debate. I will not be part of the debate. Our questions tonight will be coming
Should have told
from
Caitlin Collins that.
fact-centered
Caitlin never got that memo.
And you will see and hear most of tonight's questions will deal with the most fundamental issues, the ones that impact the lives of the people that make this country great. The people in Florida, the people in California, and in many ways, every state in the country. We'll discuss taxes, the economy, immigration, crime, guns, homelessness, education, parental rights, abortion, gas prices. In other words, the things that impact you every single day. In the end, you will get to decide which governing philosophy you believe is better. The governors will explain their governing philosophy. And again, fact-based questions. So let's get started. Everybody ready? All right. As we speak, there is a phenomenon. It is playing out across the entire country. Americans, they are leaving blue states in droves in favor of red states. You can see numbers on the screen right now from the years 2021 and 2022. These particular numbers are stark in the state that you lead. In the case of you, Governor Newsom, according to the U.S. Census, this is where the numbers come from. In 2021, 2022, California's lost 750,000 residents to other states. Governor DeSantis, during that same two-year period, you gained 454,000 residents from other states. So Governor DeSantis, we had a coin toss. I was not part of it. I missed it. But apparently Governor Newsom, you won the coin toss. And you chose to let Governor DeSantis have the first question. You will get the last word tonight. So I begin with you. You know, for Governor Newsom, I will ask, you know, what your response is on this as well. What do you, it's a simple question. How do you explain this phenomenon? Governor, what's going on?
When I was in the Navy, I got orders to go to Naval Amphibious Base Coronado in Southern California. And I was a lifelong Floridian, but I went there and I was like, man, this is one of the most beautiful places on earth. And I think California has more natural advantages than any state in the country. You almost have to try to mess California up. Yeah, that's what Gavin Newsom has done since he's been governor. He's the first governor to ever lose population. They actually, at one point, ran out of U-Hauls in the state of California because so many people were leaving. Of course, he's imposed restrictions on his own people while exempting himself from those restrictions and going to the French Laundry while his people were suffering. He led the country in school closures, locking kids out of school while he had his own kids in private school in person. Now, he's very good at spinning these tales. He's good at being slick and slippery. He'll tell a blizzard of lies to be able to try to mask the failures. But the reality is they have failed because of his leftist ideology. And the choice for America is this. What Biden and Harris and Newsom want to do is take the California model and do that nationally. In Florida, we showed that conservative principles work. This country must choose freedom over failure.
Woo!
Governor Newsom, your reaction.
All right.
Well, it's good to be with you, Sean. It's nice also to see you in a tie as well tonight. Good to be with you, Ron. And
I dressed up for the occasion, Governor.
No, I'm impressed and I'm grateful. Look, it's an important occasion. This is an important conversation.
Get to the point, bro.
I think it's important to the folks watching. They're probably wondering, what are we actually doing here? And I want to answer that very directly. I'll tell you why I'm here. I'm here to tell the truth about the Biden-Harris record and also compare and contrast Ron DeSantis' record and the Republican Party's record as a point of contrast that's as different as daylight and darkness. You want to bring us back to a pre-1960s world, America in reverse. You want to roll back hard-earned national rights on voting rights, on civil rights, on LGBTQ rights, on women's rights, not just access to abortion, but also access to contraception. You want to weaponize grievance. You are focusing on false separateness. You in particular, Ron, are on a banning binge, a cultural purge, intimidating and humiliating people you disagree with. You and President Trump are really trying to light democracy on fire. So, Sean, there are profound differences
light the establishment
tonight,
on fire.
and I look forward to engaging. But there's one thing in closing that we have in common is neither of us will be the nominee for our party in 2024.
Governor, great opening statement, but it did not address the issue. Can you explain this migration out of California and going to red state?
You mean,
blue state?
Well, hold on. You mean the last 2 years, more Floridians going to California than Californians going to Florida? I put up on by the way, that's going to be fun to fact check. So we'll just start right there. California has no peers. California dominates, size of 21 states.
He's just ignoring the U.S. Census Bureau stats.
We dominate, number one manufacturing state. We dominate trade and research and access to innovation, more scientists, more researchers, more engineers, more Nobel laureates in the state of California than any other state in the nation to find a system of higher education. It's the birthplace of life science and biotech and nanotechnology.
Sticking to your coach talking points.
We dominate in high tech. We dominate in artificial intelligence. So with respect, I think it's an interesting campaign strategy for Ron DeSantis.
This U.S. Census Bureau stats, bro.
40 million Americans when California simply has no peers.
That's a pretty slick way of not answering your question. He went on a binge of putting out a lot of left-wing platitudes. Here's what I would say. I talked to a lot of the people that have moved from California to Florida, and we never used to get people from California to Florida or really anywhere in these, because why would you leave California? It's got the best weather, great natural forces. Excuse me, sir. But one of the things that I did, I had
Newsom.
talking to a gentleman, a couple.
Guys, I'm going to let the debate breathe.
Newsom lost already.
So I was talking to a fella who had made the move from California to Florida.
Newsom, you lost already, bro.
Florida's much better governed, safer, better budget, lower taxes, all this stuff. And he's really happy with the quality of life. And then he paused and he said, by the way, I'm Gavin Newsom's father-in-law. So we do count Gavin's in-laws as some of the people that have fled California and come to the state of Florida. And why are we getting people to come? We have a 50-year low in the crime rate. You don't see in the last 10 years, we've had a 45% decline in homelessness. California's had a 45% increase in homelessness. We back the blue. I was walking the streets of San Francisco a couple months ago, and I had some of the cops in San Francisco do a beeline to come over to me, and I didn't know what they were going to say. And they're like, we want to thank you for standing for law enforcement because we don't get that support in the state of California. So people understand quality of life matters. They understand that Florida's doing it right. And I can tell you the numbers speak for themselves. We have way more people moving to this state than leaving. Gavin can't say the opposite. More people are leaving California than are moving into California.
Let me bring up
coming to California the other way around the last 2 years. But let's talk about crime.
Governor, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
You said a lot of things that were factually untrue, including that 50-year crime low, which his own law enforcement team said should not be using.
You have yet to address the issue, but I asked you twice. You don't want to answer it. But the issue of why the migration out of red states, out of blue states.
We just established more Floridians coming to California.
No.
The last 2 years than the
overall, you had a net loss of 7.
It's a fact.
No.
It's a fact.
No, it's not a fact.
It is a fact.
Moving on. Let's go. Your states have vastly different income tax rates.
U.S. Census Bureau on the board.
These are the facts. California's highest rate for top earners, 13%. Married couple, for example.
The stat staring him in the face, and Newsom's like, nope, just deny it. My libtard people will listen.
State of California. Florida's income tax rate
My
is
libtard base will still vote for him. Don't believe your ears.
But it goes beyond income taxes.
Oh,
Property
God.
taxes are lower in California, but everything else is higher. Let's take a look at the numbers. These are the facts. The average property tax in California, 0.75%, Florida, 0.91%. Sales tax, California, 7.25%, Florida, 6%. Gas tax rate, California, 77 cents a gallon. That is a low estimate. It's up to $1 when you include mandatory fees.
Oh, we're larger. California's larger, that's why.
Cents. Corporate income tax, California, 8.84%, Florida, 5.5%. Governor Newsom, this is your question. Let me ask you. Obviously, you support a different philosophy, which is higher taxes.
Yes. No, hold on.
We have a tax question, Governor.
This is a very different approach, and I agree with you completely. He has one of the most regressive tax rates in the United States of America. It's the number 3 most regressive state in America. And what that means is simply this. Who does he tax? He taxes low-income workers more than we tax millionaires and billionaires in the state of California. The question is a simple one. Who, Ron, are you for? It's a factual lie that the state of California has the highest tax rate.
Factual lie? What the hell does that mean?
And it's a foundational and fundamental difference. You look at states like Texas, overwhelming majority of Texans pay more taxes than the state of California. So again, it's who you're for. And I think those values matter, and I appreciate you bringing up the issue of taxes.
How many people leave Florida to go to California because they pay less taxes? I've not seen that. Are people going from Florida to New York because they pay less taxes? Of course not. They come to Florida because they pay lower taxes. We don't even have an income tax. And yet California has a higher sales tax than we do, and that's one of the things that we do. But here's the thing, and I'll give Gavin credit. He did at least admit in his first answer, he's joined at the hip with Biden and Harris. He thinks Biden and Harris have done a great job. He thinks the economy is working because of their policies for Americans, and they are not. And so what California represents is the Biden-Harris agenda on steroids. They would love nothing more than to get 4 more years to be able to take the California model nationally. That would be disastrous for working people in this country.
We'll talk about working people. They pay more in your state than the state of California charges for billionaires and millionaires. And it's just a value proposition.
True.
It's a fact. Again, you can't make
You have $6 or $7 a gallon gas. How do they afford that? These are folks that are blue-collar people. You're going to force everybody to buy an electric vehicle. How are they going to be able to afford electric vehicles if you're working-class people? And I think the thing about California, they have one of the highest inequality rates because, they've got Silicon Valley billionaires. They've got a lot of very wealthy people. They've got a lot of people that are on government assistance, but they've hollowed out their middle class. That's who's been leaving California. They've been leaving in other places. They go to Arizona. They go to Nevada.
God, Newsom is just
like Biden is hollowing out
getting obliterated.
in California.
Ron, I'm happy that you continue to talk. Let's talk a little bit about Bidenomics because I'm happy to take that on right now as well. And I think it's a fair point.
You're a big supporter of it. I appreciate you acknowledging
14 million jobs, 10 times more than the last 3 Republican presidents combined.
Because he had
115,000 manufacturing
the jobs were because of the COVID lockdowns. Are you kidding me?
3.9% unemployment. As he continues to talk over me, I'll talk to the American people. 3.9% unemployment, the lowest black unemployment in American history, the lowest unemployment for Hispanics in American history, the lowest unemployment for women in 70 years, the lowest black poverty rates
you are a
in
slimy
history.
snake, you.
That's this administration's agenda. And by the way, as you smile and smirk over there, you should know this, the American people. Here's a guy who celebrated Bidenomics just this week, celebrating $28 million that came into your state because of the CHIPS and Science Act, one of the most significant economic plans since FDR. I'm proud of the work Biden and Harris have done.
Would you like to respond? And I do have a follow-up. The 6% rate on people, families, couple in California, they pay 6% income tax on $84,000 a year.
Low-wage workers in the state of Florida pay more than billionaire state of California.
Governor,
but here's let me ask Nancy.
Wow.
Let me ask the question.
Let me cover first.
Ron, if I may answer the question. California has lower taxes, lower than 32 states for working families in the middle class, significantly lower taxes
in
places
That's
like Texas.
You support a 6% income tax for people, a couple
I'm against progressive taxes that advantage billionaires and millionaires over working families and the working poor. People in his state pay more taxes in the low end than we tax people.
How does paying $7 a gallon gas help working people? That doesn't help working people at all. How does paying an 8% sales tax?
We got Newsom smiles. That means you got him.
That doesn't help working people at all. They have the highest taxes in the nation. People flee to be able to save money to get out of California. And you have working class people that move to these other states. Their dollars go much further. But here's the thing. They want to take groceries now compared to what you were doing 3 or 4 years ago. I talked to people, I talked to a woman who had a cart full of groceries going in, and they're ringing it up. And it got to be so expensive, she has to take a lot of the stuff out.
Me too.
That didn't used to be the case. People used to be able to work hard and get ahead. That is not true under Joe Biden. And you know what, Sean? One more final thing. California's unemployment rate is 60% higher than Florida's unemployment rate. Our unemployment rate is 2.8%. Theirs is 4.8%. Why?
Governor.
Because it's a command and control economy. They have a political agenda that they're pursuing.
Let me ask that question.
People.
On with the question of jobs. I think it's important. You know what? That affects that affects everybody.
Biden administration, the last 3 years, it's been a master.
Joe Biden paying you tonight
3.9%.
I thought this was state versus state.
No, but it's about the United States of America. I thought this guy was running for president of the United States. If
You
you're
are
running
too.
for
You just won't admit it.
for a
You
third
just won't admit it. You will not admit it. Why don't you just admit that you're running?
All right, we can't talk. I'm going to move on to the next question. The unemployment rate in Florida right now is just 2.8%. As you stated. And California ranks second worst in the country at 4.8%. Hold on. This question goes to Governor DeSantis, and then you'll have a chance to respond. Governor DeSantis.
Well, right. I mean, they tax too much. They regulate too much. They have a political agenda. It's not a good climate for business. They've lost a lot of companies. A lot of companies have moved to Texas. We have had some to Florida, but they've lost a lot of companies to Texas because they're not doing a good job
Elon Musk included,
and not creating a good business environment. And, when I have people that come to Florida, they tell me, you guys actually want us to succeed in Florida. And they feel like when they're in California, they don't want business to succeed.
Is that what Disney's saying, the Tampa Bay Rays?
Well, actually, I think that's an interesting point with Disney because I had Disney open during COVID, and we made them a fortune, and we saved a lot of jobs. You had Disney closed inexplicably for over a year. You were not following science. You were a lockdown governor. You did a lot of damage to your people. You had more kids locked out of school for a longer period of time in California than anywhere else in the country. It was the working class kids. It was the middle income kids. His kids were in private school. They were in class in person. He locked people out because of the teachers' union. He is owned by the teachers' union. You will never cross the teachers' union.
This is just a lot of hot
Lock, stock, and barrel.
Let's talk about COVID. Let's talk about your record on COVID. You passed an emergency declaration before the state of California did. You closed down your beaches, your bars, your restaurants. It's a fact. You had quarantines. You had quarantines. You had checkpoints all over the state of Florida. By the way, I didn't say that. Donald Trump laid you out on this. Dead to right. You did that.
True.
You followed science. You followed Fauci. He followed science. He followed Fauci. You were
why did everyone leave
Hold on. You were promoting vaccines.
We were open.
You were promoting vaccines. You even wore a mask in
we
September.
Were open. You were closed.
If it's okay with you, We'll do this.
Why were you closed
Why don't we do
for
this
so
in a way
long?
where we both can have
Why were you closed for
opportunity?
so long?
You wore
You
a
were
mask
closed.
with
Guys,
Donald
guys,
Trump
closed.
outside
I'm trying to let it breathe.
in September
Gavin,
2020. He did all of that until he decided to fall prey to the fringe of his party. And as a consequence of that, Ron, tens of thousands of people lost their lives.
Not true.
The equivalent, if I had your policies, the equivalent of 10 9/11s. Tens of thousands of
you.
people
Oh,
lost their
Newsom.
lives. And for what, Ron?
Those are more lies. In fact, the Lancet just did a study. Florida had a lower standardized COVID death rate than California did. That's a Lancet study. One more thing. The other thing we had, the other thing California had, California had higher excess
Newsom,
mortality
shut
than
up.
All right,
Florida.
gentlemen.
Let me talk about the excess mortality real quick.
Honestly,
Because the
hold on a
excess
second.
mortality is other
I want to
things.
ask you both. Slow down. I want everyone to be heard. If I can ask you, I really do want this to breathe. I want this debate to breathe. I want it to organically develop. To do that, I need both your cooperation. I don't want to be a hall monitor. It's not my style, all right? You mentioned COVID. Let me go to COVID. And I plan to bring this up later, but you both took very different approaches as it comes to COVID. Governor Newsom, you issued the nation's first stay-at-home order on March 19th of 2020. Governor DeSantis, you took a lot of heat for reopening schools. You opened schools in Florida in August of 2020. All right, so here's the data, which I think is important. This is where the facts come in. Your state's death rates were almost identical.
This is factually untrue.
Hold on.
Factually untrue.
Okay. And by the way, both your states, with such different approaches, which is pretty fascinating, were both lower, significantly lower than the national average. These numbers come straight from the CDC. So, Governor Newsom, how do you explain that?
The facts. Per capita death rates
That's what that
in
is.
the state of Florida were 29%, 29% per capita higher. 29%.
That's not what the stats say right there.
Tens of thousands of people
Don't lie
unnecessarily
about
died.
it. He put the graphic up there. Don't lie about it.
Unnecessarily
You don't need to lie about it.
because your policies.
Just understand.
You're lying
You don't need to
your
lie about
record.
it. No, it's not.
You were a lockdown governor.
No, it's
You
not.
locked down
One at a
roads.
time,
Oh.
Gavin
You
Newsom,
locked down
finish
your
your thought.
beaches, bars, and restaurants. That's just a fact. He's running away from his record. He's running away from the fact. Tens of thousands of people died
You saw
unnecessarily
the CDC
because he
numbers.
caved to it's 29% higher death rate in the state
Not
of
according to
Florida
CDC.
versus the state of California.
quick
Tens of
response,
thousands
Governor.
of people
You
died.
showed the stats.
Fact.
The stats are very clear.
One at a time.
On a per capita age-adjusted basis, California and Florida basically the same. Now, why is that important? Because Gavin Newsom did huge damage to people in California. He ruined livelihoods. We reopened the
People
state
died
very
when we were
quickly.
watching.
We saved thousands of jobs. We saved hundreds of thousands of jobs, thousands of businesses. We had our kids in school. He had the kids locked out of school because of the teachers union.
I
That
was
is
there for
having a generational impact. California has one of the lowest literacy rates in the country. In the most recent NAEP exam, Florida came in number 3 for 4th grade reading. California was far, far behind. So you should apologize for not getting your kids in school. Why didn't you get the kids in school in the summer of 2020 like we did? You bowed to the teachers union. You didn't do the job you should have done.
The only person
One at a time, quick answer.
is Ron DeSantis for the tens of thousands of lives that died unnecessarily because he played to the fringe of his party.
Guys, take a break.
And
Finish your thought.
No, and when it comes to the issue of schools, you better be careful. You had more learning loss during COVID than the national average in the state of California.
You did, motherfucker.
It's a fact. More learning loss. Your economy contracted more in 2020.
Quick break.
Expanded
Wow,
slower than
this
California
guy.
in 2021. More to come on this topic.
More to come on this debate. I know it's starting off.
Next segment, I guess.
It's
Gavin,
been rather
goddamn.
dull at the start, but anyway, we got a lot to get to. Coming up, many important topics that we're going to be talking about, including one issue where we might find some agreement, actually, as we continue the blue state, red state debate. We are live. We are in Alpharetta, Georgia. Thank you for being with us.
Oh, what did I just watch? Oh my God. Jesus.
Napoleon is the
All right, I'm gonna give you guys just my initial thoughts during the commercial break. It's just crazy. I mean, Newsom just gaslighting. It just goes to show just the craziness of just such a parallel how fringe left just believes whatever they get told. DeSantis was spitting more facts. I think once again that those stats were real. Those stats, CDC, U.S. Bureau, it just goes to show just the insanity that Newsom and the Democrats just seem to just gaslight, lie. Once again, I think Ron still had the best record in Florida, and I think even Trump did a lot of damage saying, "Oh, Florida was really bad. He did a bad job." He just did that just to do it, and then Newsom used that ammo. I don't know. This debate. I mean, I had nothing else to do right now, but I feel like DeSantis is definitely coming through where he's actually spitting the facts, and this is just from 3 years of living through it and reviewing the facts. And then you see Gavin just sort of meander around the question. He can't answer a direct question. He just reverts back to these silly talking points, and it's just ridiculous. It's just insane. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like, this is just gonna be a shit show of a debate. It's just entertaining. It's kind of the first of its kind, at least since COVID. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm pulling through for Newsom. I feel like Newsom. I mean, not Newsom. I'm pulling through for DeSantis. I still take Trump over any of them, but it's just mind-boggling the times we're in. Mind-boggling. That's warming up the fire. Welcome back once again. This is Conservative Brother Daily. We're doing a live reaction. Old school grassroots. Didn't feel like setting up the live stream and all that. So you're stuck with me pointing the camera at the screen. So it's Conservative Brother Daily live reaction of the Newsom versus DeSantis debate. So 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 I'm gonna just cut it back to once it starts.
State debate with Governor Gavin Newsom and Governor Ron DeSantis.
Oh, here we go.
Let's move on to the issue of borders. Joe Biden's message to illegal immigrants during his campaign was, "Let them come." I'd have the tape, but I said I wouldn't play the tape. And since taking office, Biden said he's gotten control of the border. Vice President Kamala Harris, Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, Biden's press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre have all said the border is either secure or the border is closed. Yet the Border Patrol says, well, guess what? They have been a record 6.5 million encounters with illegal immigrants and so-called asylum seekers at the border since President Biden took office. The administration says, well, they don't know how many people actually are in the country illegally. Gentlemen, the American people, I ask you, I believe it's your turn, Governor Newsom, have the American people on the issue of borders, you're defending the Biden administration, they're saying the border's secure, they're saying the border's closed, those are the numbers from
go right in a lockstep
with the Are the American people being lied to?
No.
I think they're being lied to. The Biden administration put out a comprehensive plan day one when he got sworn into office 3 years ago, and the Republican Party didn't touch it. They haven't moved on it. They play politics with us. And I'll be honest with you, I think there's probably one person I wouldn't listen to on this topic more than the guy that I'm standing next to, Ron DeSantis. He lacks any credibility on the issue of immigration. When he was in Congress, he supported amnesty. When he's in Congress, you supported John Boehner's bill. It's a fact.
False.
When you were in Congress, you supported
Obama's.
You supported Obama's efforts to advance comprehensive reform.
False.
The last guy you want to talk to on the issue of immigration, your immigration policy can best be described as a governor from the state of Florida going into another state, the state of Texas, lying to migrants, promising them jobs and housing, sending them to an island, Martha's Vineyard, and then sending them to a parking lot in Sacramento, California. I met with those migrants that you lied to under false pretense. That kind of gamesmanship, using human beings as pawns, I think is disqualifying. So again, A guy who stands here, who's been out on the Republican debate stage, saying, well, he's going to be tough. He's going to shoot people with backpacks.
He wasn't a sanctuary state
anyway. He has a
anyway.
strategy to potentially even invade our second largest trading partner, Mexico, that has a record of supporting amnesty and supporting reforms under the Obama administration, is the last guy to be standing on stage talking about the issue of immigration reform tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's deja vu all over again with that flurry of lies. This is a guy that says the Biden administration is not lying to the public about the border. They go to the White House briefing room every day. They say the border's secure. They are lying to you. We know that that's not true. Gavin Newsom is lying to you when he says somehow I supported these things, which I didn't do. He's also lying to you about what it's going to take to solve this problem. California is a sanctuary state. They thumb their nose at federal immigration law, and this has real consequences. There was an illegal alien, Herbert Nixon Flores, who was in L.A., in custody. He was a repeat criminal. ICE wanted to take him into custody because then they would be able to deport him. L.A. refuses to work with ICE, and so they wouldn't turn him over. They end up releasing him on the street. He ends up murdering the mother of a 3-year-old little girl. Those policies are deadly. They do not work. And I'll tell you this, the Martha's Vineyard transport, Martha's Vineyard said it was a sanctuary jurisdiction. Kind of reminds me about Gavin Newsom when he restricted Californians, then he went to the French Laundry. These liberal elites, they like to impose burdens on you. They don't want to have to face the consequences of their actions. So we've got a lot of elites who want open borders, who lecture everybody else about it. Then the minute they have to deal with any of the consequences, oh man, all hell breaks loose.
How about
they get upset.
Hold on,
How about we have one set of rules for every American? We'd be much
on the same topic.
If that were the case.
On the same topic, this is important. This is a very important question. While some migrants I know want to come to America for a better life for themselves and their family, find the American dream, I totally sympathize with them. Many good people fleeing very bad situations abroad. But others are abusing the asylum process. And in the process, in search of where they're coming from, we're now learning that many are coming from some of our top geopolitical foes, countries with little to no vetting, or people that are coming in. They're not being vetted. Look at these numbers. Between October 2021, October 2023, border agents encountered 6,386 nationals from Afghanistan, 3,153 from Egypt, 659 from Iran, the #1 state sponsor of terror, 538 from Syria.
No, that's not true. That's a lie. They're all
Russia,
same
and
families.
a whopping 26,113 from China. Now, my question, the next question goes to you, Governor Newsom. What are the odds that Biden's open borders have allowed terrorists and terror cells unvetted into this country? Is that a clear and present danger to every American?
Oh, of course not. No, it's not happening.
100%. Of course our enemies are going to take advantage of this. He opened the border. He's not. He's violating his oath of office to take care that the laws are faithfully executed. He's knowingly having 8 million come in. And yes, there's criminal aliens. There are terrorists. There's a lot of fentanyl. That we've had tens of thousands of fentanyl deaths. I've met a lot of angel parents who have lost kids to fentanyl overdose. And the problem is, you'll have a college kid that may take some pill not knowing that there's fentanyl in it. And then right there, that can be fatal. They're poisoning our people. And Joe Biden is sitting on his hands. He refuses to take care of the border. He refuses to hold the drug cartels accountable. This is the vision of Biden, Harris, Newsom. Open borders. Americans suffer, and Americans continue to die because of fentanyl overdose. There will be, unfortunately, a terrorist attack at some point that we'll be able to trace back to our southern border.
God forbid. By the way, do you see that risk, Governor Newsom?
Hold on.
Governor, do you see the risk?
Joe Biden put out not only a comprehensive plan, he consistently puts up plans. Hold on, but Sean,
is there a risk?
I'm going to answer your question. I support border security. I think the asylum system is broken. I believe that we need.
I understand that.
I'm the only guy here that's a border state governor. You're trolling folks and trying to find migrants to play political games to try to get some news and attention so you can out-Trump Trump. And by the way, how's that going for you, Ron? You're down 41 points in your own home state On the issue of immigration, Joe Biden put a $14 billion immigration package up in front of Congress, 2,300 border agents, as well as custom officials, 1,000 new law enforcement officers to deal with the fentanyl issue. And by the way, that's a major issue in your state, 41% higher overdose rates than the state of California. And here's what I haven't heard, not a peep from Ron DeSantis. They want to demagogue this issue. You want to play politics with issues. You don't want to solve this issue. Why don't you lead your party and support that $14 billion?
Hold on. I have a follow-up. Governor Newsom, I appreciate your answer. You have mentioned comprehensive immigration reform many times. It's not happened under Joe Biden. I don't think it's going to happen next year.
He put a detailed plan in. Republicans in Congress refused to act on it.
Let me finish my
Congress to work with this administration.
With all of these millions and millions of people coming into this country unvetted, the question was and remains, is this a clear and present danger from the countries I put up on the screen? Is that a clear and present danger to America? And what do you do in the interim?
That's why the President of the United States put a $14 billion package in front of Congress they can act on today.
And what would that?
They haven't done anything in 2 years, this Congress.
What do you
Literally
support?
not a single piece
of
legislation. I support the $14 billion package the President's put forward that includes
He can't even say
border agents and customs officials. By the way, also includes $850 million in new technology for border security. You hear nothing from Ron DeSantis. You hear nothing, Sean, respectfully. You hear nothing from the Republican Party. They play politics.
I'm almost
out
of
time. The President put the plan up to address
Does it
the
worry?
anxiety
Let me ask the
security.
question another way. Does it worry you that our top geopolitical foes, and the number one state sponsor of terror, Iran, China, Russia, Afghanistan, Syria, that they're at our southern border? You're a border state governor. Does that concern you at all?
Why else would I put the answer is yes. Why else would I put the National Guard? Why would I just increase it by 50% on the largest port in the Western Hemisphere in my state? I mean, this guy has no record. The fact that you supported amnesty, the fact you supported Obama's reforms, those are facts. They're just simple facts. The fact that your greatest contribution, Ron, to this debate is shooting people with backpacks.
I don't mind.
That's so inhumane.
I don't mind him lying to me. I don't mind Gavin lying to me, but I do mind him lying to you. He is sitting there saying that Joe Biden is willing to solve this problem. Is there anybody out there that actually believes this? Joe Biden created this problem. So if he's willing to lie to you about that, you know he's lying to you about all these other facts and figures, about all this other stuff. He's just throwing stuff out to see what sticks against the wall. This is a slick, slippery politician whose state is failing. People are leaving his state, and he's trying to run interference for his failure.
We've got to take our second break. We're gonna, when we come back, we have a lot more ground to cover. Quick break. We have a lot of ground to cover. More with Governors DeSantis and Newsom. The great blue-red state debate as we continue from Alpharetta, Georgia. Again, thank you for being with us.
Doomed. God help us.
No, I don't want to watch Ron DeSantis or George Santos. Jesus.
All right, welcome back to the great blue state, red state debate.
I don't want to
with
call it
Governor
great.
Gavin Newsom, Governor Ron DeSantis. Again, thank you both for being here. We're going to take a little breathing room. I don't mind the debate taking on a life of its own, but let each other breathe. I don't want to be the hall monitor. Please don't turn me into that. Anyway, let's look at the issue of crime. FBI numbers, violent crime nationally for each of your states. Keep in mind, this statistic shows what is the combined rate of homicide, rape, robbery, aggravated assault, the year 2022. On the national level, the rate was 380.7 offenses per 100,000 people. In California, meanwhile, the rate was much higher, 499.5
spin your way out of
offenses
this
per
one.
100,000. In Florida, lower, 258.9 offenses per 100,000. Governor Newsom, let me start with you. Your numbers are way higher than the national average. How do you explain that when safety and security, I would argue, is a prerequisite?
Oh, you want to turn the whole country into San Francisco?
We're near 50-year lows, down 55% violent crimes in the state of California from the 1990s. And I want to compare and contrast that with the issue in Florida that you didn't mention, and that's the murder rate. And let's broaden it more broadly. The issue is 7 out of the top
Those numbers
10,
were part of the murder rate.
7 of the top 10 murder rates in the United States of America are red states.
You throw stats in front of them, they just
66%
stick to the
higher
talking points.
gun death
Because
rate
the
in
libtards
state
will
of
listen to
California
it
is a
and,
higher
oh, okay.
murder rate. Go to places like Jacksonville. Go
Don't
to places
listen to
like
your
Orlando.
eyes or
Go to
your
places
ears.
like Tampa. The murder rate's off the charts compared to cities like San Francisco.
What?
And you know what? Even more egregiously, Sean, and I think this is important. The American people deserve an answer from you, Ron. You had one of the worst mass shootings in American history, Parkland. 17 kids were gunned down, lives lost.
Oh, here we go, gun
others,
debate.
lives torn asunder.
Gun control.
You had a young girl by the name of Jamie Gutenberg, whose father pleaded with you to do something about it. And you know what you did? You did the exact opposite. You made it easier for felons to get guns without background checks, without any training. These people pleaded with the parents and the families to get tough on gun
This
safety.
is the same
and again, you made it easier
liberal debate,
for felons.
gaslight,
He said of you, Ron, and I agree with him.
ignore the stats,
After you signed that concealed
appeal
carry
your
bill, which
humanity.
increases
There's a
the
little
likelihood,
girl,
Fred
and
Gutenberg
like these
said,
are the stats
of
though.
more Jamies losing their lives and more Parklands. He called you weak, pathetic, and small.
Wow.
So with respect, I appreciate you're talking to police officers in the state of California. You may want to spend a little bit more time, not on the Ohio Trail and other places across this country. You may spend a little more time back in your home state and address the murder and gun violence in your own backyard.
The stats.
This is the slick politician. You put up the rates. He has 500 per 100,000. Florida is 250. So that's almost twice as much. And he's trying to spin that to say California's doing good. People are leaving California in droves, largely because public safety has collapsed. They have, I mean, you go, when Californians come to Florida, one of the things they'll say, it's almost like an out-of-body experience. They can go to the store, get toothpaste off the shelf, pay for it, and leave, because in a lot of these places in California, everything's under lock and key because they basically legalized retail theft. They have chosen in California to put the interests of the criminals over public safety. They're easier on sex offenders. They're easier on all these crimes that are leading to a collapse in the quality of life. And if you just walk around San Francisco, you will see, and I think it's interesting, Gavin Newsom was mayor of San Francisco. So he took the San Francisco model, turned that into a template for California's collapse. Now the left wants to take the California model and use that as a template for America's collapse. We cannot let that happen.
I got a Governor. No. I got a follow-up question. You brought up
Jacksonville, Florida, compared to San Francisco, is 126% higher.
Governor, let me bring up
It's 84%.
The next question dovetails into
Tampa,
this.
it's 75% higher. What?
Let me also say,
what are you talking about?
You're just jabbering. I know you like to jabber.
By the way, those
I know
are
you
all
like
easily
to. I know you like to lie.
Anytime you're uncomfortable,
He put the statistics up there.
Those are all
your
facts.
crime is
What
higher.
are you doing
We
about
know
the
your
gun
crime's
murder rate
higher.
Gentlemen,
What are you
I'm
doing
going to move
about
on.
the gun murder rate in your state?
We'll let the audience.
Newsom, God,
Let the
please.
FBI numbers and decide.
To those
According to the
families.
gun
Newsom.
control advocacy group, every town for gun safety.
Yep.
Okay, California has the most, as you support, I know, Governor, restrictive gun laws in the United States.
Yes.
Florida has the 19th most restrictive. Yet, if you look at the year 2019, when each of you took office, California has had 21 mass shootings. Florida has had 9.
Explain
Now,
that,
is
Newsom.
according to a USA Today,
Explain that
AP,
stats in your face.
Northeastern University database data. Keep in mind, a mass killing is defined as the intentional killing of 4 or more victims, excluding the deaths of unborn children and the offenders by any means within a 24 period of time. I believe, Governor DeSantis, you get this first.
What California wants to do is they want to make it harder for law-abiding citizens to defend themselves. Then they go easy on the criminals who are perpetrating the crime. They don't stand up for the men and women of law enforcement. That's why a lot of people have left the state, because they don't get the support from the communities that they need. And, Gavin told another lie. He said we made it easier for felons to do. Felons are not allowed to possess firearms. That's federal law. That's been long-standing.
No background checks.
That is an
No
absolute
background checks for
lie that he's saying
No
like that.
background
That has
checks.
nothing to do
No
with
background
buying or
checks are
purchasing a weapon. So that's just a lie, another lie that's coming up. But here's the thing. People are leaving California in droves because he has failed to stand up for public safety. They are on an ideological joyride to let people out of prison early, to go easy on them. Heck, your buddy, Gavin's buddy in Los Angeles, Gascon, he doesn't even prosecute. When you have, when I was in Southern California for the Reagan debate, a lot of the women tell me they have to take off all their jewelry just to be able to go shopping because otherwise they're going to get mugged. That is the reality that people are facing in California. Right. Gavin can try to put lipstick on that pig, but the fact of the matter is he has failed the people of California.
Governor Newsom. I love this guy talking about backing the blue when you dangled pardons for January 6 insurrectionists, 85
What's
of them
that got to do with backing the blue?
Literally were charged
what?
with attacking law enforcement. You talk a big game about backing the blue. With all due respect to the crime rate, again, he's not answering the fact that he has a higher murder rate than the state of California.
The stats were on the
higher gun
board.
death rate than the state of California. And I can easily answer this point. Gun safety saves lives. I don't think it, I know it. And the data bears that out in the state of California.
Dude,
California
you had 12 more mass shootings.
In terms of common sense gun safety. Common sense gun safety saves lives. You had the chance to do something meaningful. You had a chance to do something on behalf of those Parkland families. You did the exact opposite. You moved in the exact opposite direction. With all due respect, look at your own backyard, Ron.
So
You're not mining your backyard on this.
This guy is on
because
reality.
We have we had two radical left Soros district attorneys, like your buddy Gascon in LA, one in Tampa, one in Orlando. They were endangering the public, and I removed them from their posts. Gavin Newsom has not lifted a finger to rein in Gascon in LA. That city has collapsed. That county's collapsed because he is not enforcing the law. So that's just and here's the thing. This is what's happening. That California model, that's what's done in Philadelphia, Baltimore.
15 seconds. We got to go break.
Come on. I mean, you're running for president of the United States. You're talking down the great state of California. You're talking down one of the great American cities, Los Angeles. That's insulting. And you're doing it because you're trying to obfuscate the facts that you have a higher murder rate in the state of Florida.
No, he doesn't.
We got to take a break.
The stats said he has
We'll have more with Governor
twice as less as you do. You have 12 more mass shootings.
We continue the great state debate.
The stats are on the board.
Hardly any differences.
Gavin's
a lot of ground to cover. Thank you for being with us. We are in beautiful Alpharetta, Georgia.
These aren't Fox News stats. These are third-party independent stats. Oh my God. I'm gonna go for DeSantis.
We all believe in the mission.
Trace Gallagher has must-see insight and analysis on Fox News at 9.
I never watched as much Fox News in my life. I'm about to throw up. Oh, that water, son.
Welcome back to Hannity, the Great Red State Blue State Debate. We continue with Governor Gavin Newsom, Governor Ron DeSantis. According to the Department of Housing and Urban Development, these are the numbers for the homeless population in each of your states. It's a big problem around the country.
Oh,
the state of
explain that
California,
one.
it is 172,000.
Newsom
Florida,
tactic.
it is 26,000.
Ignore the stat.
Now, the
Staring
per
right in
capita
front of you.
numbers are
Stick
pretty
to your
much the
talking
same.
points.
California is 44 per 10,000 people.
Those normies aren't going to read these stats.
12 per 10,000 people. So, Governor DeSantis,
Ugh.
I ask you, why the disparity? What are the policies you are implementing that is different from that of California?
California's adopting leftist policies. Gavin Newsom was governor or mayor of San Francisco. He put out a 10-year plan like 20 years ago. He was going to end homelessness. Then a few years later, he had another plan, and now he says he's going to do, and it's only
Democrats
gotten worse. In the
fell
last
up.
10 years in California, the homeless has gone up 45%.
Democrats
it's
fell
gone
up.
down in Florida 45%. But it's caused a huge problem with quality of life in California. The people that flee always bring up this. They've really empowered lawlessness and drug use. And, you know, Gavin Newsom at one point tried to say that California was the freedom state. I just kind of laughed, like, you're locking people down, you're doing all this. But then I thought about it, you know, California does have freedoms that some people don't, that other states don't. You have the freedom to defecate in public in California. You have the freedom to pitch a tent on Sunset Boulevard. You have the freedom to create a homeless encampment under a freeway and even light it on fire. You have the freedom to have an open-air drug market and use drugs.
I've
You have
seen
the freedom,
several.
if you're an illegal alien, to get all these taxpayer benefits. So those are freedoms. They're not the freedoms our founding fathers envisioned, but they have contributed to the destruction of the quality of life in California, and the results speak for themselves. People are leaving the state because they have failed in addressing the homeless population.
Well, I love the rant on freedom. I mean, here's a guy who's criminalizing teachers, criminalizing doctors, criminalizing librarians, and criminalizing women that seek their reproductive care. You're making it harder to vote. You're banning books. I mean, spare me this notion of freedom. Ask the folks at Disney about freedom and free enterprise. Ask the folks at the Special Olympics that you threatened to fine with $27
because they were discriminating against the athletes.
Who goes after Special Olympics
to be out of there? Kids with Down syndrome.
Of
that is wrong. That's being a liberal bully. That's being a bully.
Really?
They had Down syndrome and you wanted to discriminate against them.
$27 million.
They were discriminating against because they were discriminating against the athletes. They wanted to marginalize the athletes, and you wanted the athletes marginalized. That was wrong what you did. These are kids with Down syndrome that just wanted to compete, and you wanted them out of the Special Olympics. You're a liberal bully. You wanted them to be ostracized. You should talk to Isabella from Florida. She got to participate because we stood up for her rights.
This is the way you treat. By the way, no, hold on.
It's your turn.
Let me say, I can handle that. I can handle it. I'm used to that. But you know what?
You wanted her
your attacks on the trans community, your attacks on the gay and lesbian community.
Oh, just keep Newsom spinning shit.
You attack women.
Spinning, changing subject.
Relax.
Smear labels.
I can handle it. I'm used to bullying. You're nothing but a bully.
You're a bully.
I understand that. Intimidating and humiliating people. That's your calling.
Gaslight.
By the way, how well is it going for you?
Why do you want them not to be able to compete?
How well
is
why do you not want them to be able to compete?
Newsom
I don't
gaslight.
understand why you would want to discriminate
against
I'll remind you,
the blueprint.
He wanted them to be excluded from the Special Olympics.
Has put Ron DeSantis 41 points down to Donald
You
Trump.
could cut his mic off. Hannity, you need to cut the mic off.
On the issue of homelessness, it's been an issue for decades in the making in the state of California, ever since we started shuttering down our mental health institutions back in the day, in Ronald Reagan's day. The difference is I'm the first governor in California history to take this head on. We are investing unprecedented resources, more accountability. We've gotten 68,000 people off
right
the
about
streets.
that. It was
Close to
Reagan to shut down
6,000
the silence.
we've gotten off the streets. We've also invested in unprecedented resources
throw
in
a peanut
reforming
to
our
that
behavioral
Newsom.
health system. Ron has literally the worst mental health system in America, forgive me, outside of Mississippi and Texas. And so with all due respect to being lectured on some of these topics, Ron DeSantis is not the one I'm going to be listening
30-second
to.
response. I'm looking at total time. Governor DeSantis.
This is a map of San Francisco. There's a lot of plots on that. You may be asking, what is that plotting? Well, this is an app where they plot the human feces that are found on the streets of San Francisco. And you see how almost the whole thing is covered, because that is what has happened in one of the previous greatest cities this country's ever had. Human feces is now a fact of life, except when a communist dictator comes to town. Then they cleaned up the streets. They lined the streets with Chinese flags. They didn't put American flags there. They cleaned everything up. So they're willing to do it for a communist dictator, but they're not willing to do it for their own people.
I want to get in with the limited time we have left. I want to get there are two very important issues we have not hit. After the Hamas terror attacks on October the 7th, we have seen what is nothing short of a disturbing outbreak of virulent hatred, anti-Semitism around the world, in the halls of our Congress, on American streets, on college campuses. Last month, outside in Sydney Opera House, in Australia. We've seen it all over Europe, but in Australia, anti-Israeli protesters literally in this day and age chanting, "Gas the Jews, F the Jews." In American cities, we have protesters calling for global Islamic war and demanding that Israel be wiped off the map, or in the words of Congresswoman Tlaib, from the river to the sea. Israel, meanwhile, is vowing to eradicate the terrorist group Hamas. But according to a report in the New York Times this week, U.S. officials have warned Israel that they need more to fight more surgically in Gaza. Governor Newsom, 30 seconds for you. We have to cut back on time.
All right.
How can Israel win the war against this terrorist group using surgical strikes and directions from Joe Biden?
Israel. I visited Israel. I met with families, hostages. I saw videos of children being killed in front of their parents being killed in front of their children. I saw a beheading with a garden hoe. This is not complicated to me. This is a fight between good and evil. Hamas is a terrorist organization, and they need to be eliminated, not just for the people of Israel and Jews around the world, but for the Palestinians themselves. But when it comes to the issue of anti-Semitism, you just mentioned a lot of things that have been occurring on Ron DeSantis's watch. He said nothing.
You're calling him anti-Semitic?
Marching. I'm saying he countenanced anti-Semitism, and now he's finally talking a big game ever since October 7th.
For the sake of fairness of time, gentlemen,
you said nothing.
Governor DeSantis,
nothing on these issues. Look at the record.
Governor DeSantis. Than a second Holocaust. They want to destroy Israel and wipe every single Jew off the map. Israel has every right to defend itself to the hilt. Biden should not be kneecapping them in any way, shape, or form. And by the way, Biden stranded a lot of American citizens over there. We're trying to get home. So I did an executive order in Florida, and we sent planes over to Israel right in the aftermath of October 7th, and we saved over 700 Americans, mostly Floridians, but not all, because Biden wouldn't do it. Finally, Biden started dumping people in Greece, and then they were sending a bill to the Americans just to get to Greece. If you come to this country illegally, they will pay to fly you all over the place. They'll put you up in a hotel at no expense. But yet our own citizens fleeing a war zone, they're going to send you a bill. Joe Biden failed those people, and we stepped up and got it.
Let me ask you, I want to turn to the
anti-Semitism.
We don't have a lot of time.
On your streets for years.
I want to turn to the
What?
gentlemen of
Newsom?
China. I talk about this often. Intellectual property theft, unfair trade practices, that China has been hostile to our fighter jets in international airspace, hostile to our Navy in international waterways.
Right.
We know all about the China spy balloon that happened 8 days right across the United States over military installations. The communist Chinese, they have nationals buying up thousands of acres of ranch land, farmland, and land near military installations. Their hostility towards Taiwan. They are, Governor DeSantis, our number one geopolitical foe. I don't see that the Biden administration has been tough with them. What would you do differently?
Well, first, in Florida, we banned China from buying land in our state because you're right. You don't want them buying farmland or land near military bases. So we acted. We also got the Confucius Institutes out of our universities. China should not be involved in our universities at all. What you need to do is you need to have hard power in the Indo-Pacific to deter China's ambitions. You need to take the economy, and we need to decouple from China. We're dependent on them for so many things. And then finally, we need to get serious about their influence in this country. They shouldn't be able to buy farmland anywhere. I can tell you this, I would not go to China and grovel in front of Xi like Gavin Newsom did. He says China's a partner on climate change. China's adding 2 new coal plants every year. China's laughing at us with what they're doing. So yes, they're the number one threat we face, and we need to take it seriously, and Joe Biden is not doing that.
This is just a reminder, I think
Of
it's
the
a
truth.
question some people are probably asking. I know Nikki Haley's campaign is asking, when are you going to drop out and at least give Nikki Haley a shot to take down Donald Trump in this nomination?
Oh, that Hillary Clinton
She laid you out.
Republican face?
You wish.
You're a walking hypocrite
What about
on
China?
the issue of China. This is the guy that was looking for direct...
You can't even talk about China. Just deflect around.
That's already been debunked. You talk about the liberal fact checkers. Even the liberal fact checkers
Donald
did
Trump
that.
himself today called you Red Ron for a reason, because of your complete hypocrisy.
All right, we're almost out of
Again,
time.
talking a big game. I confronted Xi on the issue of fentanyl, Ron. I confronted them
Not on human rights, you didn't.
I absolutely did, with the foreign minister and the vice president and other leaders in China. You talk a big game. Meanwhile,
We're
you haven't done
over
anything
time.
except tweet things
Final
out.
question, Governor DeSantis. We owe you about 90 seconds, but you get the last word as per the coin flip.
What are you giving me? 5 seconds? What do I get?
No, I'll do okay. I'll be a little more generous than that.
Give me 90.
Look, it's been a very passionate debate tonight. Actually, it's been fun to be a part of. I think the American people will decide. Governing philosophies could not be more different. But let me ask you this, kind of a fun question. You both clearly love your states. You visit each other's state. Governor DeSantis, you can take as much time as you want. You have an extra 90 seconds. What is your favorite thing about the state of California? And
I give him 5 minutes for this.
go right ahead.
That's a good question.
All right, we'll stay longer. 5 minutes, Governor.
When I got orders as a Navy lieutenant to go to Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, I had not spent any real time in California in my life. Florida native, and I'm very proud of the state. But I got down there, and that strand is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And then all up and down, just a tremendous coastline. I do believe California has more natural advantages than any state in the country, which is why when you have so many people leaving on net, That's hard to do. Like, people don't want to leave there because it really is such a beautiful area. And I'm proud of the military installations that are there. I'm proud of what the Navy's been able to do in conjunction with the state. It was really important duty. It really helped forge me as an individual and as an American. And so I'll always have very, very fond memories of that nice strand down there in Southern California.
I love that. I mean,
what do you
Reagan,
love? No, what do you love? I don't know what you love
Reagan
about
used to call California Coast of Dreams. By the way,
what do you love about Florida?
Right.
What I love about your question is the comedy of the question, meaning, you know what? We all want to be loved. We need to be loved. We all want to be protected, respected, and
what?
connected.
Okay, you came in.
There's a unity frame here. Okay. You said it well. I mean, Ron, I have no doubt Ron DeSantis loves this country. I love this country. It's not about red versus blue. It's red, white, and blue. The United States of America. And I think we're all better off, and we're all better off. And
You're
so
communist.
I appreciate this conversation. I appreciate you, Ron, being a family man. You got 3 incredible kids. I appreciate your wife, your sacrifice, and I appreciate your military service. But I also appreciate we do have fundamental differences about the fate and future of this country. And that's why
What's one thing you like about Florida?
To get Joe Biden and Kamala Harris reelected in 2024.
You couldn't resist. You had to go right back to 2024. All right, here's the last question. Would you do this again?
Well, you know what?
I hope we could do another half hour. I got all night.
Joe Biden should show up to a debate.
Listen, Donald Trump should show up to a debate. I have another 20 minutes, and I've got a lot of questions.
I'm happy to.
You want to stay?
Let's just do an extended hour. I'm happy to do it.
Okay. Then
this has been fun.
I think it's been fun, and I think it's been more entertaining. I'm sorry to the guests that I've been invited. I got to take a break, though, in the meantime. We've got to pay some bills. It's not a cheap set we built for y'all. I hope you like it. Courtesy of your favorite channel, Fox News, and you do admit you watch often. We'll take a break. They've agreed to stay. Well, that's, I guess, a debate on the fly. We'll continue on the other side and later have live post-debate coverage. We are in Alpharetta, Georgia, the great red state, blue state debate as we continue.
20 more minutes of this.
Before the vote on his possible expulsion from Congress, the defiant lawmaker tells his side of the story in a must-see interview tomorrow.
Yeah, 19 charges the guy's done. George Santos.
All right, welcome back to Hannity, a red state, blue state debate. By mutual agreement,
Hannity got out his
both
chair.
candidates had other commitments, and they realized afterwards they couldn't stay longer. But we appreciate them all being here
They
tonight.
did the fake out.
Okay, what did you think about it? Is there a winner, loser, winners, losers? You get to react. Anyway, here joining us, co-host of The Five and former Democratic Congressman Harold Ford Jr., along with the co-host of Outnumbered,
Okay, I
Kayleigh
don't need to
McEnany.
give Fox News any more free press. All right, well, that's the end, guys. Conservative Brother Daly is going into Sean Hannity debate with the Fox News oligarch. Not worth our time. So, tell me what you thought. Feel free to put it in the comments. And Conservative Brother Daly. Talk to you later. See ya.